Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and we are finally back with a very long overdue review.
Yes, longtime fans of the page will remember when we went through every mainline entry in the Mortal Kombat series, but there was one we still didn't get to. So in honor of the movie coming out today, we're taking a look at Mortal Kombat 11.
Jim, why aren't you as excited as me? I got my shirt on.
Brian, because I don't wear band t-shirts to concerts.
But you should.
Just get to the review. Originally released in 2019, this was developed by NetherRealm Studios and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. It came out on Windows, Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and later got ported to Google Stadia, the PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series S/S, which is a weird naming convention. And in good old Mortal Kombat fashion, we're taking a look at the Ultimate Edition. Buying new versions is for suckers. Wait for the greatest hit and get all the content like us. Be smart!
Yeah, don't be a sucker like Jim.
What? Hey, I have the same version as you.
I know, but you're still a sucker.
Yeah, well, you know.
The graphics. If you watched our MK9 and MK10 reviews, how can you honestly hate on any of these games? They all look beautiful. But what I will say is, if you look at this side-by-side comparison with MK10, they've actually added a whole lot more. All the backgrounds have a lot more depth to them. They have a lot more activities going on. All the textures look significantly upgraded. Even on the character models themselves, it seems like you can pull out a lot better details. It just seems a little bit more crisp. The lighting effects on some of the special moves, it just all feels like a refresh, even though MK10, as we said, still looks good. The color palette for the game also, I think, is a big increase, because MK10, I loved it, but it seemed very dark, very drab, like a lot of the DC movies recently. This game seems more colorful and just looks a lot better. In general, you have a lot more customization options for your characters, so we always appreciate that. And of course, the coup de grace, the fatalities, they all look just as gory, if not gorier, than these past two games. Honestly, we're so desensitized. Is it really gorier? I don't know, but they look goddamn impressive. Honestly, we can't really find any faults with the game itself.
Well, Brian, that's because we didn't play it on the Switch. All this footage is from the original Xbox One, not even the Pro or the S or the upgraded ones. So even for a 8-year-old system at this point, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, Jim, me especially, I'm no sucker like you, so I wouldn't be playing it on the Switch anyway.
I'm playing it on the Xbox. I'm doing the same thing you are.
So when it comes to scores, we really can't fault it anywhere. We gave it 10s across the board. It looks amazing. All the modern MK games look great, and they keep on improving, which is what we'd like to see. So when it comes to beer, not even going to add any.
The sound. In general, you really can't go wrong with anything NetherRealms does when it comes to the sound department. The soundtrack's always very well produced, if not a little bit unmemorable. There's always throwbacks to some older levels, especially in this game, and some older stage music. You're gonna have a lot of just fantastic voice work, for the most part. Looking at you, Ronda Rousey. But, I get it, she's a name bringer in. But, yeah, for the most part, the quality's just there. There is a weird nitpick we have, where it seems like the default volume settings are a lot lower than they were in Mortal Kombat 10. So if you put them side by side, you can definitely notice it. So, weird decision, but it really doesn't take away from anything in general. For the most part, if you know what you're getting when you get a NetherRealms game, so we both gave it 8s. And when it comes to beer, I'm just going to add one for... We don't need Ronda in Mortal Kombat 12.
Jim, stop being a hater.
Brian, I was a huge fan, but she's not a great actress.
She doesn't give a damn about her reputation.
Damn it.
The control is really well done in this game, and surprisingly, there is a bit of an overhaul compared to MK10. The game, in general, is a little bit slower, but all the button inputs are so much more precise. You might have been able to dick around with MK10 and button mash to pull off some combos, but this one, it definitely requires a lot more precision, and one of the areas you see this the most is in your ability to amplify your special moves. For MK10, if you wanted to amplify any of your moves, you simply held down block while pulling it off. In this game, you have to use RB or R1 depending on which controller you're using, and it has to be at a specific time during your special move. So you're paying attention a lot more. Whether you love or hate it, the inputs are damn near perfect. I don't really have any issues, but I will say it feels like the game gets slowed down by all these precise movements. It just feels like a slower paced game than MK10. Some people may really love it, some may not. But either way, there wasn't any actual issues with input versus lag, or being able to pull off combos once you spend enough time with it. The only other thing that was really removed from MK10 was the ability to sprint, which I was fine with it, honestly, until I really dived back into MK10 prior to this review. I didn't even realize. You can still do a dash move, which is just as fine. Like I said, it adds to the more technical fighting game style of this game. I still love it. Everything works exactly how it should, so when it comes to scores, we both gave it 9s. It may not be perfect, and for me especially, I prefer the faster pace of MK10, but this game is absolutely great. When it comes to beer, I'm going to only give you 1 because you're going to need to be a little more precise, and you can't afford to be too drunk if you want to pull off some of those insane combos.
Alright, the gameplay. Oh boy. So, if you know anything about NetherRealm games, you know that you're going to get a ton of content out of this title. Whether you have the base game or you splurge for the Ultimate Edition, you just have so much to play around with. So, first off, you have a fully fleshed out storyline, at least with MK11, that will probably last you a good 4 to 6 hours. Most of the bulk of that just comes from sitting through the cutscenes. It's not particularly hard if you play it on medium per se. Like the final boss Chronica was the only time I ever had to redo a fight. So if you want a little more challenge, just up that difficulty from the start. But if you have the Ultimate Edition, then you also get the Aftermath storyline, which adds another couple of 3 to 4 hours to your gameplay. And like we said before, the graphics and the story and the voice acting so good across the board. It's even for a guy like me who doesn't care about story, I got sucked in. Then there's all the other game modes. So the classic tower returns. The crypt returns, even though this time, unlike 9 and 10, it's not first person anymore, it's third person, but it's still just you spending your in-game points to unlock things. You also have the Tower of Time tower, which is like the old challenge towers, but depending on the time or the day or the week or even the hour, it can switch up all the different challenges that you'll have for that day or for a set number of time to go back to. So that just adds completely to the replayability. And multiplayer is here once again. So the only really big change to multiplayer is the fact that they took out the clan-based wars and battles that you had in MK10. So it's not the biggest loss in the world. I guess it's the thing that not enough people really cared about, but you still have all the basic game modes to get your fix of Mortal Kombat gameplay online. Then going into the actual game itself, probably the biggest change is the change to the X-ray moves. So, as people know, starting in MK9, the X-ray moves were like that big game changer, super cinematic, but the problem is people complain that you could abuse it too much, and in fact you could. So what they decided to do is they changed it to a final blow, and basically you only get 1 per match. So if you nail it, that's the only one you're getting, and it only activates when you're down to 25% health left. So if you use it and you miss it, you can build it back up, but it's so devastating to miss your final blow, especially if you're in a tough spot. And the emphasis on just straight up in-game mechanics and combo building and combo learning and timing. Timing is so important. Because one cool thing they added is like a brutal blow, which if you time a reversal just right, it adds like 30% more damage, and it's like a little mini X-ray move. It's kind of awesome. So say a guy tries to hit you with like a big swinging weapon attack, you duck and nail him with an uppercut, you get that sweet little bone crunch, and you can just take off so much health. It feels so good to pull off. So overall, I have basically no complaints with the gameplay in this game at all. So when it comes to scores, I gave it a 10 and Brian gave it a 9. To me, this is about as near perfect a package as it's going to get when it comes to gameplay, content, whatever. Brian slightly prefers the faster pace of 10, so that's why I gave it a 9, but overall, you can't go wrong with this title. And you don't need any beer because you need those sharp reflexes to pull off those combos.
The originality. This is obviously the weakest point of most new Mortal Kombat games. You know, 9 introduced all the major new mechanics and styles that we've seen in the series. 10 and 11, although there are the gameplay mechanics, which we did give it points for, honestly, everything is stuff we've seen before. Now, this game, with the story that it introduces, you could argue it is new, and there's the whole idea of, you know, reversing time, going backwards. It feels like more like a comic book than a fighting game at this point. But at the same time, it did feel refreshing, I guess. And when it comes to new characters, we only get the 4 new characters in this game, which are all tied to the main story. So you get Chronica, Centurion, the Collector, and Gyros, which it's nice you're not over-bombarded. You know, MK9 and 10... especially 10, introduced a whole bunch of new characters, which felt a little overwhelming, and honestly, we all just want the old favorites to come back. If you did get MK11 Ultimate, then you get a shit ton of characters, and on top of the DLC, it's just a lot of returned favorites for most people. So, when it comes to originality, we didn't want to dock it too bad, but we are kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. I gave it a 3, Jim gave it a 2. Sometimes it's good not to introduce too many new things, because that can really screw up a game. The nice changes in gameplay mechanics are really what you see different here. So when it comes to beer, I'm only going to add 1, and that's for keeping things the same isn't always that bad.
So when it comes to replayability, I think I've already covered it. There is a metric ton of content in this friggin' game. Content with a K, that is. And
damn it, Jim! I wish I could smack you right now. Smack yourself.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No, I'll do that later to help me sleep.
Damn it.
But yeah, there's so many game modes. There's so many online modes. So there is so much to unlock in this game. So a carryover from Injustice 2 is the fact that after every fight, you basically, well, in story mode, after every fight, you can unlock a couple different pieces of armor or colors for characters, yada, yada, yada. But as you go through the game, like in past Mortal Kombat, you get points after every battle, no matter what gameplay mode you do. So that all goes towards the character collection unlock screens. So, like, there are upwards of 30 different combinations of colors and armors and swords and weapons. And every single thing is basically cosmetic, so it's not like you can want to put real money in there to unlock the best weapons. It's not like that. But if you're a completionist, you have a long grind ahead of you, which is one of the bigger complaints that people had, is the fact that it's so grindy if you want to get all the customizations, especially for a specific character. But besides that, if you want content, you got it here. So we both gave it 10s. When it comes to beer, you don't need any. Well, you know what? I'll give it 1 beer, because you're going to get thirsty grinding through all this friggin' content.
Jim, would you call that a thirst trap?
I put my boobies back in Mortal Kombat. I need my thirst traps back.
Damn it, Jim. Alright, so as you guys can tell, we absolutely love this game. It is a step up from MK10 in many areas, especially cosmetically. But honestly, all these games are really quality. It may come down to which roster you prefer the most. I will say, without a doubt, do yourself a favor. If you haven't already played this, get the Ultimate Edition. As we pointed out, it unlocks everything for you, and there's even talk of like another combat pack coming out. So you may even see some more characters introduced. There's nothing not to love about this game. Regardless if you're like me and wanted a faster style, I still love the shit out of the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much friggin' content here. And it's also great to just have another fighting game that doesn't take itself seriously. So, you know, you can just either sit there and dick around with it through the story mode, and with all the content there, especially in the crypt and the towers, you'll be set. Or if you're a hardcore fighting fan who loves to be better than people, you have all the online options to give you that too. So there's something really here for everyone.
Brian, there is so many callbacks to Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Oh my god!
Jim, aren't you so happy you had to play through that now?
Well, I'm happy I got so many references.
I was like, that's from Mythologies! That's from Mythologies!
See, it all works out, Jim.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
So when it comes to scores, we both gave it 9s. It's as damn near perfect as it can be. Obviously, the biggest area we dinged it, the originality, that's nothing to sweat. So when we combine all of our scores together, it comes out to an 8.9. It's right on par with how we feel about this game. For those unfamiliar with our scoring system, that's pretty much almost as high as you're going to get from us. So trust us, this is an excellent game. You got to give it a try, especially if you're a Mortal Kombat fan.
Yep, and with, like Brian already said, with the Ultimate Edition out there, there's no reason not to just go for that and get all the content. It's worth it.
Yeah. So if you're like us, you're probably going and watching that movie tonight. Afterwards, do yourself a favor, go get the game, play it, and enjoy yourselves.
And until next time, guys, cheers.
Cheers, guys. When it comes to beer pairing, I decide to go with the Dragon's Milk White Stout from New Holland Brewing Company. Coming in at 6%, not many people have tried a white stout, and I'll be honest, a game like this deserves a very unique beer. I really enjoy this beer, and it is seasonal, so make sure you stock up if you are able to find it. But remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can always see when we have new videos up.